$1 million of affordable term life for you. All you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
There's a new scandal involving Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government.
Israel's Attorney General has said a close advisor to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will face criminal prosecution for leaking secret information to a German newspaper with the intent of harming the country's security. The announcement on Thursday marked another scandal for the embattled Netanyahu as the country gears up for elections this fall. Netanyahu himself is on trial for corruption in 3 separate cases and faces tensions within his coalition that threaten to dissolve parliament. I'm Karen Shamas.
A fire devastated a girls' boarding school in central Kenya, killing at least 16 students, injuring many more. That blaze occurred at the Utamishi Girls' School, which has over 800 students. Police are questioning surviving students to determine the cause of this deadly blaze. News and analysis at townhall.com.
This program is brought to you in part by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals.
Call 281-441-4179.
Check-A-Pro Joe here. Don't miss the Check-A-Pro Radio Show, your trusted source for home service pros. This week, we're featuring Bel Air Air Conditioning, keeping Houston.
I use is very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory, my friend for over 40 years. Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees, and pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs, so don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree prune. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Where should I begin?
Can we talk about this?
Say, what are you trying to say?
Beyond the usual controversial talk.
Blah, 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 on and on and on.
Over there.
One, two, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha.
Prepare yourself.
Okay.
For Craig.
Okay.
Preparing a mighty new spectacle here.
Articulate. Stimulating. Hit you right in the... there you go.
We start becoming a team right now.
This is the Craig Collins Show.
Lord Jesus. Oh, God, no.
Start talking. Talk fast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Now your host.
He's a good man.
Craig.
That's right. This is the Craig Collins Show. KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Thrilled to be with you. A whole bunch of stuff out there to talk about. I will say this quickly because Chris X was actually joking with me about it off the air, which I know you can't hear. That's the whole thing about off the air. He's like, hey, man, I'm not trying to make fun of you about not being a burger. I don't know why this is my Chris X impression. Not being a burger guy. I'm just saying a thing that actually we talked about off air. He was like, hey, we're doing a burger segment on the show. What kind of burgers do you like? And I immediately answered him by saying I might not be the right guy for this. I don't know why I'm giving you all this backstory, but I thought it was funny, and I told him I would do it. Because I don't love Whataburger as much as I'm supposed to being a Texan. I don't hate it. It's not bad, But that I figured would be a good way to say maybe you don't need my opinion on the burgers here in Texas. I like a lot of burgers. I'm a burger guy. I don't intend to talk about burgers much on the show today, but I do like them. I like bacon. I like an egg on my burger, too, and cheese, of course. But I just thought that was funny. He's like, hey, now I'm making fun of you just saying out loud several times in the show you might not be a burger guy. I don't know why it sounded kind of like a Tallarico insult. I heard a little bit of that. I'm totally kidding. If Chris is listening, this is absolutely a joke. And again, I told him I would do it. But yeah, I think the thing about Whataburger, I'll just say this to start the show. My issue, it gets built up a lot. If you're not from Texas, if you weren't born and raised somewhere here, you come here. And I think the first time I actually had Whataburger, I was not living in Texas. I had visited San Antonio for a Final Four. I won a sales competition in my 20s. I was working at Career Builder, which is a company that helped people get jobs. And I was doing like job postings, and I won a thing. And they sent me to San Antonio with my little brother. We were stranded there for like a week because I think American Airlines went down. And we tried Whataburger during this trip in my 20s. And it was good. It's fine. I've been told how to make it better. Like the things, the patty melt version of the thing or something that's supposed to make it better. But I don't know. I just felt like it was built up so much, it probably couldn't live up to whatever the thing was that people were saying about it. So I said that to Chris X off the air, and that turned into I'm not a burger guy by the end of the show. But I did think that was funny, and I think Chris said that I should play some Greta Thunberg complaining about how terrible of an insult that was. Maybe we'll do that later on in the show. All right, let's actually get to serious stuff. There's a bunch of serious stuff out there to talk about. I do think Scott Bessent is doing a very good job. He did the press conference today, sitting in for Caroline Leavitt, who usually does this. And he was asked a few different questions. One of them was by Peter Doocy. I think somebody on social media called it Doocy time when they asked the question. So here, I'll play this back and forth about President Trump's face being on a dollar bill. Not a specific dollar, a $250 bill, but being on currency at all, which to me would be hilarious. If it happened, it's one of those things that would be a troll job that a lot of media people would hate. But here we go. Let's play this audio.
How long until we see your signature next to President Trump's face on a $250 bill?
Well, again, as Treasury Secretary, I have two mandates for U.S. currency. At present, no living person can be on U.S. currency, and the currency must say, "In God we trust." So right now there is proposed legislation in front of the House, in front of the Senate, to change the first requirement so that a living person
could be on money.
Donald J. Trump could be on a $250 bill.
I don't know why not. I don't know why we can't change that part, not just for Trump in general, but for anybody that we want to slap on some money, especially a higher currency amount, $250, whatever it might be. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think the person has to have died for us to put them on money. And then the other thing about it being specifically Trump is how funny that would be. How many people in media would be absolutely irate about it. They'd probably change it. The minute that a Democrat got in office, they'd put their face on it. The $250 would be like a rotating bill that would have all kinds of people on it. It would be one of the biggest reasons anyone would want a $250 bill, I think, is whoever the president is at the time and their face potentially being on said bill. But I loved everything about this. I like the answer. I hope it does actually happen. I would like to see President Trump's face on any form of currency because of how much people on the other side would just be so mad about the idea. They'd be like, oh, so crazy about it. And then none of them would actually have a $250. And I imagine it actually would be kind of annoying to even try to pay with a $250 bill. I imagine that's not the most fun. So that's out there as well. All right, let's play this. This is audio of a couple different people on Fox News. One of them is also a podcaster. Her name is Erin McGuire. She's talking about the left's obsession with attacking Trump, which feels like it's very much in the vein of what I just said a second ago about the $250 and how that would go if that were a thing. Here's this audio.
This is what the left-wing media has done. They've killed their credibility, but they've been doing it slowly for the last decade. The moment he came down the gold escalator, they all lost their ever-loving minds on reality, and it didn't matter. Their only answer to everything was Trump is bad. It didn't matter what the question was. So here, they're talking about Trump's mortality and how because he went to the doctor and got a medical appointment, even though this man is traveling the world and trying to broker deals and is going much harder and much more nonstop than Joe shuffling along Biden. When Dr. Jill Biden today said that she thought he had a stroke during the debate.
Yes.
You want to talk about mortality? She thought he was having a medical emergency on stage and was like, let it play out.
Yeah.
Let that play out.
I do love that joke a whole lot from one of the guests that was on Gutfeld, that she goes, you know what, if it was a stroke and she thought it was at the time, no reason to intervene, no reason to step in. And then many people have actually played the audio of Dr. Jill, Dr. Biden, after that debate, cheering and yelling into the crowd about how great Joe did. I think I played the audio yesterday, or I played it on another station today. I've been doing dual duty at a couple places. But the funniest thing about it, the audio absolutely makes it sound like she's treating him like a child. I wonder if Joe Biden got an ice cream on the way home. I kind of think that Dr. Jill, Dr. Biden, after the great debate he had, pulled over and got him a vanilla ice cream or something like that. They talked about how much Joe loved ice cream. I didn't know it was because everybody treated him like a child long before he seemed to be mentally, at that stage of life again for whatever reason. But anyway, yes, Dr. Jill, Dr. Biden, in an interview, I know I played that audio yesterday, said that she thought that the debate performance was so bad because he was having a stroke. That's crazy. The other thing about it that's nuts, just real quick, as I kind of attack a bunch of topics, and I'll be honest with you, I am a little out of breath. I had to run to go to the restroom. It's a funny thing about producing and then hosting a show directly after helping out on another show. You don't have a lot of time to go to the restroom. So I was hitting buttons, I was changing things, I was making sure the live stream was ready to go, and then I ran down our hallway to hit the restroom and ran right back and made it just in time for the show to start, which I'm kind of proud of. But maybe when you immediately start talking after doing a little bit of a quick sprint and you're 40 years old, you take longer than you want to catch your breath. It might be time for me to start hitting the gym a little harder. All right, another thing out there that I saw that I thought was pretty interesting as far as just a bunch of the audio and reactions go to some of the discussions going on surrounding President Trump. This was Peter Doocy on Fox News talking about both the president and then some Laura Trump tape that might be out there, something that they taped in this vein. I do see a call popping in too. So you know what? Before I even do the audio, let's get right to the caller. Caller, what's your name?
For me?
Yeah, you're on the air. What's your name?
Hey, how's it going? It's Carlos.
Hey, Carlos. How you doing, buddy?
I have a simple question. How come I listen to a lot of, obviously, Spanish radio shows in the morning. They're just regular morning shows, right? They're not political.
I got you.
But you can tell whenever they give the news, they're obviously from the left, right?
Right.
Because the way they give the news, or they just focus on the bad and nothing good's going on, right? Why does since you move, I know a lot of Republican people and I guess hang around with them. How come there is no money spent on trying to reach the Hispanic community on any type of radio show, whether it be politics, radio show or not? How come there's no effort?
Yeah, Carlos, that's an interesting.
the match across the eight.
Hold on.
Going right.
Hold on, let me respond. That's an interesting question, Carlos. I have a couple different thoughts. First, our morning show, the Chris Salcedo show, he bills himself as the American-loving Latino. So he's someone who is of Latin origin. He doesn't speak in Spanish on the show in the morning, but he certainly has talked about his roots as well. So I do think that even the morning show on the station you're calling into doesn't completely abandon the idea that Hispanic people would vote on the conservative side of the aisle. If you're asking about specifically Spanish. Right, I get it.
Yeah.
If you're asking about Spanish language content, I believe there was a station in town that tried it, and I don't think it went very well. And I think that station is now English language political talk after for a long time being Spanish music and then a short time being Spanish political. And I don't know why. To be honest, it might just not be a model that's effective because, to be candid with you, doing political talk on the conservative side of the aisle, you know you're already not going to get a lot of people who are liberal-leaning. You might get some. We occasionally get callers that believe that, but you're cutting your audience further down than what it would normally be if it's everybody. And to do it in Spanish, you're going to slice that audience even further. No matter how big the audience is, it might not be beneficial enough in a Houston to market to Spanish-speaking conservative voters for, a viable station to exist there. I don't think that people on my side of the aisle believe that you wouldn't vote for us. I think that we do believe that. I think we saw it in the presidential, campaign and the Trump presidency and the amount of people who voted for him, especially in Florida. Cubans seem to love Trump. So I don't think that it's a non-existent thing. I can't even think of a lot of Spanish language stations, even though the people are probably on the left, who do specifically political talk on the left. I can't think of anyone who does that either. So do you think there's a comparable example of political conversation that's happening in Spanish on the left, or just the thing that you mentioned, people who are doing music shows who, when they give their opinion, they happen to always be people on the left?
No, they're just regular morning shows, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're not into politics or anything, but when they give the news, they always focus on, you can tell which way they're going just the way they focus the news on, right?
I agree with you.
And they claim they're not political at all, but you can tell because they always point the bad and nothing good. So what I'm saying is, I used to hear millions of dollars spent, like at this time in Texas, right, on the runoff before Corning and Paxton, millions of dollars spent, and none of it is trying to make you point across the Hispanic community. Like I said, I listen to both English and Spanish, so I don't have any issue because I listen to y'all, right?
Yeah.
But most of the people that I work with, for example, they always show up to work, and, we talk about everything. They always go, in the news they said this and this is bad. And I always have to argue with them, okay, well, yeah, this is bad, but this other thing is going well.
I appreciate
that.
So,
because they don't get to hear the good things that are happening or why things are happening because they only listen to the in Spanish, for example, it's always the negative, always negative and negative and negative.
I guess I have two other reactions to it. First, I wish that some of the music stations would hire conservatives that happen to be Latinos who speak Spanish, because they exist. They especially exist here in Texas. I can't tell those music stations who to hire. We don't have a music station in our group. Otherwise, we probably would hire someone like that. My wife, her first language is Spanish, being born and raised in Mexico and becoming a U.S. citizen when she got married to me. So I appreciate what you're saying. I guess the other thing I would say is there's probably podcasts out there and other things out there. I don't want to push you or any of your friends away from listening to radio, but at this day and age, with the amount of media that exists beyond, what is marketable on airwaves in Houston, I'm sure there's probably conservative Spanish-speaking podcasts that you and your friends could be listening to. So it might just be looking into that. It might just be finding those, things. By the way, my wife is texting me that she agrees with you. She's like, yes, I agree with Carlos on this. So thank you, Mrs.
Can I ask you something real quick?
Sure.
Do you have an issue? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I always told my sons, right? They were born here. I wasn't. I was lucky to get here, but they were born here. So I always explain to them how in the Hispanic community, especially in the Mexican community, their kids are raised to love Mexico before the U.S., even though they never been there.
Sure.
Or whatever, right? So I was always explaining this to my son, and he never understood it. Till one day I was like, okay, tell you what, go watch a soccer game between Mexico and the U.S., and you know what I'm talking about. Sure. So he takes his grandma. They go watch a soccer game. Obviously, they're supporting the U.S. And when he gets home, he tells me, Dad, I felt it. He felt the hate that Mexican Americans are giving the U.S. And something as simple as a soccer game. You know what I mean? Now I tell my son, now imagine if they have to choose who to defend, the U.S. and Mexico. Who do you think they're going to defend? Sure. It's Mexican Americans that were born here but raised loving Mexico first for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And he never understood it till he felt it.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny about some people?
How come your wife is not like that, though?
I don't know. I can't tell you anything. I'll tell you this. I've met some people that are, as you described, they're, second, third generation. They born and raised here in the United States. They say they love Mexico. One of the more amusing things to me is a lot of those people have never been to Mexico. They've never gone there. And I've been there many times. It's where my wife's family still lives, in San Luis Potosí. So I actually lived there for 3 months during COVID at one point, even though I don't speak Spanish and would rather not try to do it with you on the air right now. But nonetheless, I absolutely understand what you're saying and where you're coming from, and I know people like this, but I don't have a good answer to the political component. But I will say this to echo your point about your son's experience at a soccer game. I think it must have been a few months after we moved that there was an exhibition match between the United States and Mexico here in Houston. And my wife and I grabbed tickets last second because they were pretty cheap on my favorite ticket app. It's called Game Time. And we went to the game, and I was one of the only people in the entire stadium cheering for the United States soccer team. I noticed it very quickly. And while I was cheering, this like little 12-year-old girl a few rows in front of me looked back with the angriest look as she heard me cheering for the United States. And I was like, whoa. And I even said something to my wife, like, that little kid hates me. And she's like, she does. That little girl looks like she hates you. And so I think it's also true that some people are raised, told what's great about a country that maybe their heritage is, what's terrible about the country they currently live in. I know a lot of kids who are raised today that are told that. And then they believe this thing, but they have no idea what the experience would be like to go there. They have no concept of the reality of Mexico and some of the not so great elements of it. So it's amazing to watch that happen. But I hear what you're saying, man. I don't think that politicians are abandoning the idea of Hispanics voting, Latinos voting for conservatives. But I don't have any data on how much money or how they're doing it, and it's certainly not on radio. That's certainly true.
Yeah, they're not doing it on the radio, that's for sure. And like I said, I hope they would, because I keep hearing everything. Oh, the Hispanics are they voted for Trump are leaving him now. I don't know if it's true or not. You know, like I said, the only independent voters that I know is my two kids and my wife and I.
Sure.
You know, so we know
more.
That's the only people we know, right? Most Hispanics that I know of, they do think negatively of the Republican Party because they don't know the reason why things have to be done, right? Yeah. And I try to explain to them, but I just end up getting mad because they don't seem to want to understand.
Well,
so I just give up. You know?
Well, thank you for the call, Carlos. That's true of a lot of people, not having any interest in understanding. I will also say one other thing. The way in which the conversation has gone about deporting people away from this country, and it's not just people from Mexico, by the way. When you talk about deportation, there's a whole lot of people who go back to a whole lot of other places that are not, in fact, Mexico. But the way that this gets talked about is that, you know, conservatives hate Mexicans. That's essentially the message that gets sent to a lot of people, I think, through social media channels. And it's not true. It's definitely not true. As I said to Carlos a second ago, Chris Salcedo pretty definitively flies in the face of that belief as the liberty-loving Latino who does our morning show here, the America-loving Latino that's very proud of his heritage and also, of course, very proud to be an American citizen and someone who definitely talks about a lot of the same things me or Chris X or anybody else talks about on this station. So I don't know. But I do believe that there are ways that maybe on a community level, politicians reach out to voters. I mean, think about Houston and the surrounding area or a lot of places in Texas. It is significantly Hispanic. Houston specifically, I remember when we moved here, this is what I'll say before I take a break. We were looking at the demographics, my wife and I, and she got pretty excited because as we're reading the demographics, one of the things we noticed is that even though many of these people are probably born here in the United States, their ethnicity is Spanish or Hispanic or Mexican. So the majority of people who live in the surrounding area of Houston are not actually white. They're Hispanic, which some people also categorize as white. So my wife was like, this would be the first time we've lived somewhere in the United States where the majority of people are of the same ethnicity as her and not the same ethnicity as me. And there was something kind of interesting about that. So when you talk about Texas and how Texas votes in elections and who we're going to wind up choosing as the next senator out of this state, inevitably, the assumption will be that a whole lot of people that are Latino, Latina, will vote for a conservative politician or many conservative politicians, because if none of those people did, if no one of that ethnicity voted on that side of the aisle, these politicians would not win Texas. So I don't think it's true to say that they're not trying, but I think if you're being very specific about, do I hear a political talk show in Spanish in Houston, the answer is probably no. Although I do know if you get further south, if you get pretty close to, like, say, McAllen, there are stations that are conservative talk stations that do broadcast in Spanish because they're actually on the other side of, the border. They're actually in Mexico, but broadcasting to the United States. So I know that they do exist. We just don't have very many of them right here in this community. All right, that was a long, interesting conversation. Thank you, as always, to Carlos for calling in and contributing on the show. You can do that, too. If you want, you can jump in. You can be a part of the show. You can tell me your favorite place to get a burger. I don't care if people want to supply that information. I'll check them out. I don't mean I don't care as in I won't listen and I won't find it interesting. I don't necessarily have anything that I will add to that conversation. And a majority of these places that I even heard on Chris's show, I haven't been to them yet. I intend to go definitely to Hero, the place that is run by a veteran. I'm definitely going to check out that. This is weird. I just looked up and Dana Lash is on a television commercial in the studio that I'm in. Dana Lash's show will start on Monday here at this station. She's doing a Super Beats commercial. That was funny. I had to look up and see her. But anyway, just to get back to whatever I was saying a second ago, if you want, it is National Burger Day. You can call in and tell me where your favorite burger in Houston is. I won't have a lot to add because by and large, I'll probably say to you, man, I would like to try that place. I haven't been there yet. All right, quick break. A lot coming up. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters, and we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source, and these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Match is back here in the Mac Z-Cliner. I'm recovering from surgery thanks in large part to this miracle chair, the Mac Z-Cliner. You can sit in it, you can recline in it, you can watch TV in it, you can eat in it, you can sleep in it. It goes to zero gravity position. The Mac Z-Cliner helped me recover. It also has heat and massage, a place to charge your cell phone. Come out to Gallery Furniture, buy a Mac Z-Cliner before your surgery. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, or after your surgery, Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, and you'll sit and sleep great tonight.
Hi, I'm Tommy Mello with Garage Door Doctors. My mom recently moved into a new home with a builder-grade garage door. Noisy, flimsy, and not built to last, so we're fixing that. Mom, you're my hero. When I was growing up, she worked 3 jobs just to save our house.
And helped you build this company.
Now I'm giving her a beautiful new garage door that's built to last. The garage is 40% of your home's curb appeal. When it looks good and it works great.
Life is good. Thanks, Tommy.
From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor today.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. Our country's founding fathers drafted a document that is the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. My friends at O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe we're at a precipice in time where we must take back our country. We must stand up for our freedoms or lose them forever. Please don't sit idle and let it slip away. Don't let anyone force you to do something you choose not to. As JFK said, if not us, who? If not now, when? If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give O'Hara & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
We think now that the market is closed, we might get a Truth Social explaining what has changed. But part of the problem that Scott Bessent was laying out is that Iran right now, they've got the elected reps, and then they've got the IRGC, and then they've got these clerics. And because there has been such destruction in Iran around the places that these leaders live, they're having a hard time communicating with each other. And then they have to obviously get messages back and forth to the U.S. And so we don't know what has changed. But President Trump, I just saw a clip of the interview that he is going to, or that they taped for Lara Trump's show on Saturday. He doubles down that he does not care about the midterms. Scott Bessent today said that makes him a statesman because he's got one core belief, and it is not letting Iran get a nuke. It seems that is what they're going with, and so that is going to have to be part of whatever this is. We know what the red lines are. We don't know how close we are to them.
And that's Peter Ducey on Fox News. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. That is the right decision. President Trump not caring about the midterm elections is the right decision. Is it politically beneficial to people like maybe you and me listening to this show if you want conservatives to win elections? No, it's not politically beneficial. If we're still in a conflict, if gas prices are still as high as they are, it will be the number one issue for people voting in November. It'll be the number one thing on their mind, and a whole lot of people will vote away to try to get rid of whatever they blame as the reason for the high gas prices. Of course, it's most likely to be Trump and potentially a lot of Republicans, even if a bunch of people that campaign say that they wish that the conflict would end. But we're here now. We did this. We started the fight. We've essentially ended the fight. Iran can't really fight back anymore. The only thing they can do is just wait and hope that we give in and hope we give them what they want without demanding the appropriate thing that many of us believe is the thing that we should get, which is a total surrender. And I have seen, I believe this is getting reported more and more, that there is essentially an agreement in place between the United States and Iran, and Trump just has to approve it. And the one thing missing is that the enriched uranium would not be immediately turned over or immediately destroyed. It's something that would have a 30 or 60-day window to be removed, destroyed, or we go right back to fighting. Now, I'll make the argument that if you did do that, that's essentially a long-term version of a ceasefire. It's not a short-term version of the thing we have now that's not really a ceasefire, as both sides have been firing during said ceasefire. But I do think if you gave them 30 to 60 days, you told them exactly what your expectations were, and they didn't achieve that goal, granted, that kicks us 2 months down the road to get closer to a midterm election, to potentially be back in conflict, and Iran might be counting on that. But if you do that, then the only thing that I would care about is that if in that 30 and 60 days they don't do what they agree to do, that we do continue fighting them. And I'm sure there'd be a lot of political pressure not to do that, but that would be a worst-case scenario for me, where you exited a conflict that you did start and you didn't get the thing that you most wanted to get, which was a guarantee that they're not going to have a nuclear weapon anytime soon. And we need all of their enriched uranium to go away. We need to take it. We need someone else to take it. We need proof that it's destroyed. That has to happen. That has to be a product of this. And I don't like the idea that it might be something that has a 30 or 60-day delay on it, but I'm willing to accept that if it actually does happen. And I'd actually even have the conversation about waiting until that moment to truly say what I thought about the conflict. But I do think Iran is playing games. I do think that they want to stretch all of this out because they believe that it's just politically not going to be valuable to Republicans, not just to Trump, to let this happen. And I do think the only way to win is to prove to them you don't give a crap about that. By the way, Talafrico is now trending on Fox News, too. Looking up at the screen again, I just saw they use that term. I think my cousin is one of the people, Vince Colonnese, who has a show that now airs for an hour on the station, that coined that term. I think he's one of the people that was involved in that, but he's one of many that calls Talafrico, all kinds of crazy things. I want to say this about that race, because we're finally at the place that I wanted us to be at a while ago, where we're actually going to have a conversation. We're going to do it with Texans. Whether the national people understand this or not, they probably don't. But even after living here a year, I get it much better than those morons do, about if Talarico is genuinely electable in the state. And the crazy things that he said, I've played supercuts of them before, I'll probably play supercuts of them again, demonstrates how completely unelectable he is. The 6 sexes, the God is non-binary, the Jesus was a radical feminist kind of stuff, just the crazy, crazy things that he said and believed make him impossible to elect here in this state. And I'm excited that we're finally at that point where we're actually going to have this conversation, because we desperately need to talk about it. We desperately need to make it more apparent. It won't matter to me that some people think that, Ken Paxton is not the best human that's ever been a human being to grace the planet. He's definitely an effective politician, but his, shortcomings in the world of his humanity, again, whether you forgive him for those or not, can't possibly be a bigger deal to the average everyday voter here in Texas than the insane things that Talarico has said. So, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more. I'm sure you can call in and offer your opinion as we get closer to the November election. But it just, to me, and I think Trump said this in a Truth Social post, he's the worst candidate Democrats have ever put forward in the state of Texas. When you look at the amount of things he has to try to claim he's distancing himself from, or to claim he no longer thinks that he himself said. The amount of arguments he has to have with himself from just a few months ago is more than I've ever seen a politician, especially in a place like Texas, have to deal with. And he'll have to deal with it constantly. You don't even actually have to run a campaign where you say stuff yourself. You can just keep playing the crazy audio of the things he said, and I think you win a campaign that way. All right, I want to play another piece of audio. This is also Fox News. I don't know why I'm finding so many Fox News clips now, but I am, and I'm watching it actually as I'm here in the station. A Texas man named Jacob was arrested earlier today. He was arrested because there was allegedly a terrorist threat that was being made, attempting to bomb a Turning Point USA event, attempting to kill the CEO, which is Erica Kirk. She's in San Antonio next week. All this is according to KSAT in San Antonio. I'm going to play the Fox News audio on this. This is crazy and surreal as far as the topic goes. It's also sadly not terribly shocking when you hear the insane people like Candace Owens saying terrible things that are probably helping to make people like this piece of crap named Jacob want to do harm to a Turning Point USA event and the widow CEO who runs that company. Here we go.
Breaking moments ago, a man reportedly accused of threatening to kill Erica Kirk. He is under arrest in Texas, according to local media. Police reportedly saying he posted about a bombing at a Turning Point USA event where Kirk is scheduled to speak next week. TPUSA says the event will go on. Senior correspondent Alicia Cunha live in Denver. Hi, Alicia.
Hi, Martha. And this threat not only targeted Erica Kirk, but Turning Point USA events across the board. News stations in Texas report Jacob Wensky of San Antonio was arrested earlier today and now faces 2 felony counts for making terrorist threats against Erica Kirk and TPUSA's upcoming women's leadership event in that city. According to local reports, San Antonio police were alerted to Wensky after he allegedly commented on social media, quote, "I know exactly where to bomb."
Yeah, I'll stop it right there. I do think that some of these pieces of crap who absolutely deserve the level of punishment that he's getting right now for the things he said on social media just want attention that they're doing. I don't even like to say their names, even when they carry out horrible acts that take people's lives, like the piece of crap that killed Charlie Kirk. When they do those things, it tempts me so much to just completely run past, and we said the guy's name because it's in the news, but I do think there's a desire to be infamous that makes me mad beyond just the other thing, which is the evil intent that sounds like it's in a lot of these people's hearts. We have another call. I'm going to go to the call real quick. Caller, what's your name?
My name is Jimmy X.
Hey, Jimmy, how you doing, buddy?
Outstanding, man. Outstanding. Just calling here, listening to the show real quick here. I'll make a prediction. The person arrested in San Antonio, he's going to be a lone wolf.
Sure.
Guaranteed. Because that's part of their shtick.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's a lone wolf. Right.
Right. Yeah, no.
Not.
They will definitely not blame the rhetoric of the entirety of the political side or the potential for other people to be working with him inside or outside of these organizations. Absolutely. All that's true. Continue.
That is 100%, man.
Yeah.
Second point about Talawacco, there's just a whole lot of receipts. And I think, I ended up voting for Paxton, and I was troubled with that vote.
Yeah.
But I will say this. To go after that guy, you're going to have to go after him hard. And I don't think Cornyn is your old school country club, Bush Republican. He's going to be a gentleman, where Talawacco is going to go freaking, guerrilla warfare.
Sure.
On whomever would have been the candidate.
No,
But
you're right about that for sure. Continue.
Paxton, dude, it's gloves off, man. I mean, he's gonna do it in Spanish, and he's gonna let everyone know who this guy is.
Yeah.
Because if he comes back and says, "Well, I really didn't say that," or "I've changed my opinion," you're either lying then or lying now, basically.
Yeah, well, you know what's crazy about that too, Jimmy? Here's what I'll say about that, because I think this is insane. A lot of these guys who say that crap, like, yeah, I said this, and sure, it's my words, but I didn't mean it, or I was trying to be controversial, I think is something he said to excuse some of this, or my opinions have changed. The crazy thing is some of this stuff is like a year or two ago. Like, it's not that long ago. Right. It's not like he was a 20-something who was trying to get clicks on social media, and now he's a totally different guy. Most of this is what he thought 24 months ago. So I don't know how you can claim that your opinions have changed so much, and they do this all the time. It's the same crap story every time they get caught with the insane left person getting up to a level where they know they can't win a race with insane left thoughts.
They have evolved, Craig.
Sure, they have.
That's one of their lines right there. You know.
Yeah, he's a totally different guy now. Yeah. I know you wanted to say something a couple days ago when you were calling in about the turnout, the election itself, everything with the primary.
I did.
Were you surprised that Paxton won by as significant of a percent as he did?
Not any. I think, in poll schmoles, man, it's time to get over polls. Okay. And then we just see it cycle after cycle after cycle. Okay. Quit depending on polls. They are immensely flawed, particularly today in the media world we live in and the communication world we live in. They're just totally inaccurate. So quit spending money on polls. The only poll that matters is how many people you get to the darn ballot box.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number one. But number two is, I thought Paxton, Cornyn is very disliked, and he had a very small base, and people were sick and tired of being sick and tired, and it was time to make a change.
Yeah.
And when Cassidy lost right next door in Louisiana, you could smell it, man. It was going to be a blowout. And it was.
Yeah, no, and to be honest, we even saw a bunch of it in Indiana. Indiana fought redistricting where places like Texas did it, and then a whole bunch of the state politicians in Indiana who refused to redistrict all lost their job just a couple months ago. So again and again, we're seeing Trump wade in and sometimes, offer a endorsement that's not a slam dunk by any stretch of the imagination, and then the person, like in the Paxton case, just blows somebody out of the water with a win. So, yeah, I, like you, was not surprised. I kind of predicted the outcome would be what it is, and I think we're going to see it again. And I love something else you said a second ago, Jimmy, and I've talked about this a little bit on my show, and I know that some of our other shows, they really like to talk a lot about the polls, and that's fine. I get it. I understand it. But even the people who care about that stuff readily admit when they look into the research of how likely the poll is to be right, that about now, the odds of them being correct is like 40% of the time. The polls that we get right now, playing out in November, are just wildly inaccurate. And they only get to a point, within days of an election, where polling gets to be about 60% accurate as far as outcome based on predictions. 60%,
man.
Right, I know.
Okay. At my Catholic grammar school, that was still an F. Okay.
Yeah, well, D-, depending on what kind of grade. But yes, mostly usually an F. But it's just crazy because I love the people who claim that, like, this is the stuff we most need to pay attention to, because there's not a scenario where even the most valuable polls out there, and especially in the Trump era, but even before it, do anything close to an actually good, if they were a weather guy, they would probably get fired. And weather guys almost never get fired because of how bad the polls do all the way up to an election. So it's just kind of funny that we still talk about this stuff like it does matter when clearly it doesn't.
Now, I'll make two quick points here. Number one, I vividly remember roughly about a year and a half ago on Twitter, when Kent Paxton made some comment on Twitter or X, excuse me, and then John Cornyn came at him, big bad, John Cornyn,
sure,
and said, see you at the election or something like that. I think he lived to regret that.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Yeah. Dude, I've never seen a sitting senator with that stature and that length of service get beat that bad in the primary.
Yeah.
That is unheard of. I mean, I've been following politics since, I was in freaking 5 years old, man.
Sure.
I've never seen, he got beat in a primary by that many, points.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. So last point, county judge. Very little discussion about the county judge race here in Harris County. Now, I live in Montgomery County, praise God. Half the taxes, double the house. But, I work, in Harris County. And of course, when you're out and about, you're in Harris County.
Sure.
When you're in Houston. Man, what an upset for Letitia Plummer to defeat Porker. That was pretty big deal, man.
Sure. Yeah, it was. I agree with that.
And I think it really, really creates a window where we could flip that Orlando Sanchez is a viable, well-known, well-respected candidate, and I think there is a window of opportunity for him to win that race. And I hope, and I know he wants it, and I just hope he's got the right people telling him to buy the right media and quit relying on the old school, the mailers and the TV and the radio. It's time to move on from that, man. Okay, the impact is limited.
Yeah.
Okay, particularly mailers. Oh my gosh, man.
You know what's so interesting about that point? This is something we hear about a lot when you're talking about the Senate race, that people think that Tallarico is more likely to beat Paxton than he was Cornyn. But when you actually lower it down to that level and you're talking about Anise Parker not being in this race and Letitia Plummer being in it, I think you're absolutely right. I think that it does open a window. And I think Orlando Sanchez, as I heard him twice in 1 week on this radio station on 2 different shows, is a really strong candidate who's saying a lot of the right things, saying it in the right ways. Like, I think that he's going to pull a lot of votes in his direction. So I absolutely believe that there's a chance that race becomes incredibly interesting, to say the very least. Sanchez did quite well in his primary runoff anyway. So I see this, like you do, probably being one of the, and I do live in Harris County, most surprising potential upsets come November. And it's barely going to get talked about. You're right about that, too. It's certainly not going to get talked about in the national level like the Senate race is here in this state. But how great of a win would that be for Harris County to potentially flip this, very, very important position and get someone like Orlando Sanchez in there? I do think it's one of the more fascinating political conversations happening in town. So it's a great thing for you to point out, to say the very least, man.
Well, I tell you, he is a pragmatic, smart, experienced guy.
Yes.
He served in county government. He understands, the politics behind the politics. And I just believe he would be a fantastic, fantastic county judge. And I think, look, man, he's going to pull a ton of Latino votes.
Of course.
He just is. Okay. And that's going to make a huge difference. So,
what's funny about that? I shouldn't say this, Jimmy, but I'm going to say it, and I hope my wife doesn't get mad at me. Betty, I don't want you to be mad at me. When we were talking before we voted in the primaries, when she got to the name Orlando Sanchez, all she said was yes. She's like, "Oh, Orlando Sanchez, that's a yes for me." And I was like, "Good, Betty. That's good. It's that easy for you to decide some of these races and who to vote for." And my wife is Mexican, so I think you're absolutely right that there's a lot of people that get to the ballot box, see the name Orlando Sanchez, don't even really care what political aisle he's on, and go ahead and check that box.
Absolutely, but that was a big upset on Tuesday on the Blueberry side.
It was.
The fact that Letitia Plummer won. I really believed it was going to be Anise Porker. I mean, she just. my gosh, she was a 2-term former mayor of the city of Houston.
Sure.
And then also was in another couple of clubs,
Yes.
Anyway.
Absolutely, dude.
Well, man, Craig, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, man.
Yes. For anybody that doesn't know and hasn't been listening to me say this, Jimmy X will be co-hosting my show tomorrow for the entire hour from 6 to 7 o'clock. We will be doing the Veteran Voices segment. The veteran that will be on as the guest, too, which is going to be a lot of fun, I think. And that veteran, a family member of yours, has been asking me. He's actually currently serving in the military. He's been asking me to give him questions in advance, and I'm like, look, that's not how this works. You're going to have to deal with both me and your uncle, and we're going to ask you whatever questions we want, whatever way we want. I love that he wants to be prepared, but I got to get the authentic answer from him, so I'm not going to prep him ahead of time. I hope you're okay with that.
Absolutely, and remember, he is an Aggie as well, so
awesome.
we're going to have to a little slower, all right?
Good to know, man. Well, thank you for the call, buddy.
All right. See you then.
Right,
Take care, Chris.
See you tomorrow. That is Jimmy X. He will also probably be stopping in for a little bit of the Amigos show. For anybody that didn't hear, the Amigos originally offered Jimmy X a chance to co-host their show, and this is something that a listener had told me about. I wasn't here when it happened, and then it never actually, occurred. That they had said it to Jimmy, they thought it might be fun, and then for whatever reason it didn't happen. So I just threw the offer out there to Jimmy X to co-host my show, and it's going to happen tomorrow. So I'm very much excited about it. I think it is going to be a bunch of fun for a whole bunch of reasons, and I think it'll be even cooler that I'll have a family connection during our Veteran Voices segment. Jimmy, of course, a veteran too, so I think they'll have a lot of stuff to add to that conversation. We love to do that. I love to do that every Friday on the show. Veteran Voices, a half-hour commercial-free where you just talk to vets about whatever they want. That's usually the pitch of the segment. All right, I do have to take a break. I'll try to make it as quick as possible. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
A breast cancer diagnosis can turn your world upside down. But your Houston Methodist team assures you they'll use the latest cancer research and technologies, collaborating to treat and remove the tumor and reconstruct your breasts, restoring symmetry, sensation, and your sense of self. That's the difference between practicing medicine and leading it for you. Houston Methodist, leading medicine.
This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Only a few minutes left, like literally only a couple. We went long in both segments, had some great calls from Jimmy X and Carlos. 2 regular callers out of the show. Thanks, guys, for calling in. I do want to do one silly thing before I get out of here. I usually call these palate cleansers. This is a young man and a young woman who went viral on social media because they said they have 100% talent. They have musical talent out the wazoo. They have $0 for equipment, so they own no musical instruments, and yet they're putting songs together. They're not singing. The theme song to Mission Impossible is one of the 2 songs, but you might be able to tell when I hit play on this, they're using plastic bags, they're using metal pans, water jugs, all kinds of stuff to make music. They went viral. People love these people and their clever way in which they created these songs. I'm going to say this, though. I don't really want them to attain money to buy equipment because I think they're better off not having instruments to play. You be the judge. Yeah! I'm a fan of this. By the way, that's about all that I'll play because, again, we're very much running out of time. That's using a kazoo. That's the only instrument they had. That is a metal pan, a big giant water jug. They had plastic bags they were shaking in the first song. These people are awesome the way they are. No one, please, start a GoFundMe and give them money so they can buy actual instruments. It's going to make the music way worse. I don't know why they didn't do anything that had vocals in it. I wanted them to sing. And actually, you can't see it. There is one moment that they're trying to create some reverb in some of the sounds they're making. So the guy, I assume boyfriend, is actually shaking the girlfriend as she's trying to make some noises with her face. I thought that was awesome, too. I know this is radio. I know you can't see it. But to me, that's just chef's kiss, a version of a great thing out there. They're better off the way they are. I'll say it one more time. All right, that's it. That's the whole show. Already out of time. This goes so fast sometimes. Tomorrow, our Veteran Voices segment. Please check that out. A very cool, active military member will be a part of it. And Jimmy X, too. Talk to you later.
You're listening to the Voice of Texas.